Copilot is available in all your Microsoft applications. When it was originally released, which there's been updates to it, of course, since it was first released. When it was first released, it was only available in a few applications, but they're starting to send out updates to Copilot and having Copilot be available in other places as well. I use it on a regular basis in OneNote notebooks. I use it in Loop components. I use it in Outlook a lot. I use it in Outlook almost as much as I do in Excel. So just so you know, Copilot is available in other applications. Copilot, though, is not free. Technically free, but depending on what you're going to do with it. Copilot Pro is actually a paid for subscription that you can have where it's going to be directly connected with your 365. There's a free version that you can use directly through Windows. I actually, on my laptop, I have a Copilot button. So if you buy a new laptop, watch for a Copilot button to actually be on your laptop. I was so excited when I had that. I'm excited over little things when it comes to IT, but I just wanted you to know that there is pricing involved, just like your typical Chat GPT. If you want a better quality, a better interface, you're going to be paying a monthly fee. Now, of course, the subscription pricing for Copilot depends on what your licensing is. And of course, we could spend all day talking about Microsoft licensing. You have to have a degree in Microsoft licensing to describe it. So just so you know, there is a paid for version, but the free version, like when I press my button on my laptop to go into Copilot, it's opening the Copilot online, which is not directly connected with my Microsoft 365. Just so you're aware, you want to have it directly connected to your 365 to be able to take full advantage of it. So that's what your beginning part of your handout is going to talk about, the actual Copilot itself. So when it comes to using it, you can just go straight to the internet. If you're using your Bing internet browser, which let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. Let me bring my Bing internet browser over, which by the way, this is a website that shows you the Copilot pricing. So if you just go to your favorite internet browser and look up Microsoft Copilot pricing, you'll see this, and it gives you a nice side-by-side comparison of what you're going to see. There's a lot of things that are, of course, only available with the Pro version. But just to kind of reiterate the fact that Copilot is available, I wanted to just open my Copilot. So Copilot by default, if I press my Copilot button, it will automatically open Copilot. Copilot can be used very similar to ChatGPT as its own application, as a separate application. So you can go to the right-hand side of your internet browser. So over here on the right-hand side of my internet browser, I have my Copilot icon. When I click on that, of course, it's going to open up Copilot on the right-hand side. This is what I was referring to as far as the free options that you get. So have the latest updated version of Windows, use your Bing internet browser, and you can have access to Copilot right there as well. The thing about using Copilot, no matter if you're using the application online, I press my Copilot button and open up the Copilot app from my keyboard. Doesn't matter how you're using it, how you're opening it, no matter which Copilot you're using, through Excel, through PowerPoint, through Microsoft Word, it's all about prompting. So prompting is referring to how you're asking questions to the system itself, to Copilot. Prompting is very important to understand because the way that you ask it questions, if you don't say it right, it's not going to be able to give you a response, or it may give you a response that is inaccurate. So you always want to make sure that your prompts are good, regardless of how you're using it. And that's the same if you're using ChatGPT. Of course, now there's an updated version of ChatGPT, which Microsoft is going to follow along with updating Copilot as well. So keep in mind, it's only been available for a few months, and Microsoft, like everything else, they do update things to give you enhancements. So I've already mentioned the fact that Copilot has been updated already. Um, since it was first released, they've made some changes. I saw probably the major changes being in Microsoft Word. So when we get to Microsoft Word, I can talk more about that. But on page 3 is where it's talking about prompts. So prompts and Copilot, you need to really give it the full information as to what it is that you want it to provide you. And I'll do a couple of examples of that to say this is not such a good prompt. This is a good prompt, especially when I'm in PowerPoint, I guess is probably where I think about it a lot. I think about it in Excel though too, because depending on the data that you're having Copilot analyze in Excel, it will make a huge difference. Also, just so you're aware, Copilot does have a microphone. So if I'm in Copilot in Microsoft Excel or wherever, which by the way, let me bring over Excel because that will be the first app that I'm going to have you use. When you're in Copilot, there will be a microphone available. So I will demonstrate how to use the microphone. I actually use it a lot because I prefer to talk over typing. I just would rather talk and because I'm saying it in my head as I'm typing it anyway, so I might as well just say things out loud. But if you come into a file, whether it's PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, Excel, if you look at the home tab of the ribbon, that's where you're going to find Copilot. Notice that the Copilot icon for me is over here on the right-hand side. Notice the color of it is green. It's got the same icon, but the inside border of, I should say, the inside piece of this Copilot icon, which I did read the history as to how that logo was created. I'm always interested in things like that. It's actually a combination of the letter C with an O with a circle because it's all inclusive. It's kind of cool. But anyway, the color changes depending on which app you're in. It matches the app color. So the Copilot here in Excel is green. But what if you come in and the Copilot icon is grayed out? If you have that happen, it's meaning that the file that you're actively in is not saved in a cloud. So the file does need to be saved in a cloud for Copilot to be available. You can't have it saved to a flash drive, to your C drive, that kind of a thing. So if it's grayed out, do a file save as, save it to a cloud, whether it's Teams, of course, which is SharePoint document libraries, or your OneDrive. Okay? With all that being said, a huge part of using Copilot is going to be images. We can use images in any of your applications by just prompting Copilot to include an image. I don't usually use images in Excel, so I won't demonstrate images in Excel. But I wanted to really talk about images because they're very popular. I get asked all the time about using images in Copilot. But that's where the prompting comes into play. You want to be as specific as you possibly can when you have Copilot generate an image. And that's with any AI tool, whether you're using ChatGPT or you're using Copilot. You always want to give it clear instructions as to what it is that you want it to do. So keep in mind, prompting is extremely important to practice with. So enough about that. Let's do some demonstrations. So I'm going to be starting with Copilot in Excel. And I'm actually going to go to a worksheet. Let me go to company orders. I'll start out in this one. So in this worksheet, you can see that I have columns and rows of information. I have a column for company name, country, salesperson, order ID, order date. So these are a bunch of orders that have been placed. And what I need to do with this information is analyze it further. But I don't want to manually have to do any of that because I don't like that word manual. I like the word automate. I want everything I possibly can to be automated these days. So if I go to the Copilot icon, is it automatically has analyzed the data that I have on my screen because it's in a table. So it's very quick on doing that. And it's giving me some suggestions in the Copilot window. It wants to know if I want to create a new column with a formula in this table, if I want to edit, if I want to sort and filter my data, or if I just wanted to analyze my data. I'm going to go ahead and click Analyze just to get our thought process kind of started here on what exactly can Copilot do in Excel. And by the way, I think I use Copilot every single day in all of my applications. If I'm not in ChatGPT, I'm using Copilot because I want it to help me to analyze my information. So data analysis is a big part of using Copilot in all of our applications, especially here in Excel. So once your data is in a table on the right-hand side, it's actually telling me I can analyze data and show insights. It can actually do charts. It can even do pivot tables now. When it first was released, it could not do pivot tables, but now the updated version can actually create pivot tables. So it's giving me some suggestions based on the analysis that it already did on my information. So it's giving me some prompts down below under this response it gave me. And it says percentage distribution of salespeople, top 3 company names by total of extended price, and percentage of total unit price for each product name. So these are some things that it could analyze for me, and it's giving me these suggestions after it looked over my data. So whatever your data is, it's going to automatically look over it and give you suggestions. If I click on any of these, it's going to work on it. It's going to take that information that from that prompt and analyze that data further and give me results of it. Sometimes the results that it gives me, but what it just did was it came back and said, I'm unable to calculate the percentage of total of unit price for each product. Could I please provide more details in the prompt? If you're starting to see that the prompt comes back and questions you, it doesn't provide the information, you have to give it a little bit more detail. So I'm going to start doing some Q&A with it to have it further analyze this information and make changes to it. I want to just kind of really show off some of the features of what it can actually do in Excel. So first, once you have it in a table, I can go to the prompt down at the bottom where it says ask a question or make a request of the data, and I can have it do specific entries or changes to the information for me. So one of the things that I want it to do is highlight the salesperson name of Janet Cleverly in a green color. So make sure I spelt everything. See, I didn't have salesperson in there correctly, so I better make sure that I have things spelled correctly. So I'm asking it to highlight the salesperson name of Janet Everline in a green color. I'll just leave it a little generic right there. So we can have it do conditional formatting by just prompting it with what we want it to do. It can create formulas. It can do, and I'll do an example of creating a formula. But once again, it's a little sluggish. I do have about 1,500 rows of information, but when it's done, it automatically did that for me. Now, could I have gone to conditional formatting and done that myself? Absolutely. But if I want to have Copilot do it for me, it's a lot easier. So I usually will have Copilot do those kind of things for me now. So a couple of other examples. What if I just want to ask it a question about my data? Maybe I want to ask it, which salesperson had the highest sales for the October 2021. This is older information. So I'll just say which salesperson had the highest sales in October 2021. Now, could I personally figure that out myself? Yes. But what if I just want to know? Because I'm in a meeting and we're analyzing this data and somebody asked that question. I could have Copilot can automatically bring that information back for me. Now, what it's doing, which is an enhancement since the previous version, is it actually tells me Andrew Fuller had the highest sales in October 2021 with a total of 13,628. Do I want to copy that data and place it someplace? If I did, I could copy and paste it. We didn't have that capability before, where it gives us to insert the information, but we definitely can do that. So that's a great option to have it use that feature. I'm going to have it do another example for us. Let's say that I wanted to highlight, because this is something that I recently did, highlight the quantities that have a number greater than, oops, greater than or equal to, what's our quantities? 50. Now I should be talking to it because I can talk quicker than I can type. And my talking is understood a little bit better. So I'll show you an example of that here next. But just so you know, it can do just about anything that we tell it to do. So highlight the quantities that have a number greater than, it automatically will highlight those. We could say the top 25% do in this color, the bottom 25 do in this color. Different things can be done, of course, depending on exactly what it is that you need. But also, what if I want to filter this data? Filter my data based on the country column, USA and Canada. So I asked it to filter that data based on USA and Canada based on the column country. So it knows what exactly the column is that I wanted to analyze the data from. Okay. So it automatically has applied that filter for me. Now that's a lot easier sometimes than me going to the filter drop down, unclicking something, and then clicking it again and again. So it is very quick and very easy. I'm going to continue the conversation with it. Remove the filter from country. So it will automatically do that as well. So we can have it do whatever it is that we need it to do by talking to it or by typing in what we want it to do. But something that I use on a regular basis with this is also creating charts and creating pivot tables. So the next thing that I'm going to have it do is create a pivot table based on specific information. I'm going to use my microphone again. Create a pivot table based on the salesperson and the extended price. And by the way, I'm clicking on the send button over at the right-hand side. After I talk into it, I'm clicking that to tell it to go ahead and do that. Otherwise, it's a little bit slower because it has to recognize that you stop talking. So it's just a quicker way to have it respond. Okay. So what it does then is it automatically is showing me the results of that pivot table. And now it wants to know, what do I want to do with the results of this? And it actually gave me a nice little summary. And so you can see that on the right-hand side, I have the pivot table, and I could add it to a new sheet just by clicking add to new sheet. So now I have a brand new sheet with that pivot table on it. And you can see that it also gave me a summary. A pivot table has been created showing the total extended price by salesperson, blah, blah, blah. So I love this. To me, this is so much easier than that word manual. Once again, I love that word automate. So it allows me to then even jump back to that sheet. So I have this go back to. I could even undo it. So pretty amazing what it can do. But let me do another example for you with this before I move on to Microsoft Word and to PowerPoint. What if I want a chart? I could have it create a chart for me as well. And it will give me the same similar example of, it will show me the chart prior. Now I'm going to do a different type of a prompt here. Let me show you what I mean by that. Create a chart based on salesperson and extended price. So if you noticed what I asked it, it was very generic. I just said create a chart. I didn't say what kind of a chart or what colors to use or anything like that. So the results that it's actually going to bring back is going to be what it assumes I want it to use. If I wanted it to be a pie chart and I wanted it to use specific colors, I would have to tell it that. Or if I wanted to be a 3D pie, create a 3D pie chart based on salesperson and extended price. So just so you could see, the first example that I did, it assumed that I wanted a bar chart. So it automatically gave me a bar chart. And as you can see, I could click the add to a new sheet where it could automatically add it. And it gives me the summary going along with that as well. And it's actually telling me it's unable to create a pie chart based on that specific data. However, I can assist you with other charts to analyze if you're interested. So I'm not real sure why it's not doing that because I create pie charts all the time based on that type of information. But just so you're seeing, it's giving me that as a response. But let me go ahead and I'm going to have it create another pie chart. Create a pie chart based on orders in the UK and extended price. Now, I didn't, once again, tell it what type of a chart to create. I really just wanted to have it create a chart so that you could see that I could have it automatically be placed within a specific area. The other thing that I didn't demonstrate yet was a formula. So I'll do that before I move on to Microsoft Word here. But you can see that it automatically has generated, and for some reason it thought, this time it's going to do a pie chart. Normally, it doesn't do a pie chart when it has that much data. Usually, it will actually give me either a column or a bar chart. But for some reason, I think it had it in its head that I wanted a pie chart. So it automatically gave me a pie chart. I'm going to say add to a new sheet. One of the things that I have been seeing a lot of, by the way, is people have been posting on the internet that what if I wanted to be on that sheet? You would have to tell Copilot that you want it to be placed as an object on the current sheet, just so you know. Otherwise, your choice is it's automatically going to give you a new sheet. But notice what it actually did. So what it did was it automatically gave me a pivot table to go along with the chart, just so you're seeing that. So it gave me a new sheet with that chart, but it is a pivot table. So you can see when I click the chart, I have my pivot table field list, my pivot chart field list. If I click on the pivot table, I get my pivot table field list on the right-hand side. So just so you know, that's what it's doing. But I'm actually going to jump back to the company orders one more time, and I wanted to actually create a formula. So I'm going to talk to it again and tell it to create a formula for me. Create a formula to give me 10% of the extended price. So I'll show you what it's going to actually do. So it can actually create subtotals. So if I say create a subtotal based on the sales for, you know, Tom Brady for the product of this product, it can do that. So the more specific you are, the more the better the results you're going to get. So what it did was it automatically is showing me calculates. Let me scroll up here a little bit. Here's a formula column to review. So it's giving me an example. This is what it could do if I want it to. Do I want to, after I analyze it, is this what I meant? If it is, I could say add column. So basically, it created a brand new column, even gave it a title, which I could have manually done. And then it's giving me a 10%. And if I click on this, just so you know, it is actually a formula. So it created a formula based on the column extended price, multiplying it by that 10%. So it is a calculated formula. So if you needed to change it, like I want it to be 20%, I could simply go back and change it to be 20%, and it's going to update everything to be 20%. Because it's in a table, It automatically does it for the entire column down. So key to this is everything does have to be in a table for Copilot to work. Okay. Now, one more thing before I leave. I keep saying one more thing. I keep thinking about other great things that I use on a regular basis here in Excel. I want to ask it to, and let me talk to it because it's easier. Give me a general summary of all of the orders that were placed from January 1st, 2021 through the first quarter. Now, I probably didn't say that very well, but let's see if it automatically can generate that. Now, of course, like I said, this is older information. I have used it to say how many orders were placed last week, and it gave me the answer. I mean, it is just unbelievable what it can do. Because sometimes I don't really need the information to be a formula that I'm going to look at all the time. It's not something that I need to be on the screen, on the worksheet at all. Sometimes I just need to know the answer to it. Once again, if I'm using this in a meeting, that's where I'm starting to see the usage of this a lot. Somebody asks us specific information and boom, we have the answer right there. So you could see that it automatically came up with that. The extended price for the quantity on sale based on the count of the orders, it gave me that summary. If I want to add that to a new sheet, it's going to add it, and it's going to add it as a pivot table, just so you're aware that it does that. So pretty great features that we have available here using Copilot in Excel. But let's jump over to doing some analysis with a Word document. So a Word document, which I am in every single day. Let me bring one over here to show you. When I'm in a Word document, nothing has to be in a table or anything like that. Copilot is available. And you can see my Copilot icon at the top of the ribbon, and notice that the color of it is blue, of course, just like I had mentioned the Copilot in Excel was green. I'm going to click Copilot and it's automatically adding that pane on the right hand side like Copilot always does. And you can see that it's giving me some prompt options at the top, understand or ask a question. I could just go down to the bottom, and this is something that I do on a pretty regular basis. This is a document that is 23 pages. I can see that from the status bar at the bottom left, and I want to get a summary of the information. So down at the bottom, I can click on a suggested prompt called Summarize this document. And a lot of times what I need that for is, let's say that we are generating a scope statement for a project we're going to be working on, and I need to get a summary of that scope statement. I do this on a pretty regular basis, and I used to have to go and write that myself. I'm having Copilot do that now for me. I will then copy the result, put it in a document, and then kind of reword it myself as to how would I personally say this. I don't always take everything that Copilot does verbatim. I don't just copy and paste the answer. I put it in my own words, but I'm going to tell you, it gives me more than I ever dreamed it could. But you can see that it automatically is giving me a summary of this document. And down at the bottom of, once it's done with its result, it's telling me it's almost there because it's got to analyze quite a bit of data. It's coming back and giving me that summary, but it's going to allow me to copy it. So if I want to copy and paste it, like maybe I need to, copy and paste it and give Brian an email with that summary, I could do that. I can automatically copy it down at this bottom left. So it's a great option to be able to use to take a paragraph of data or whatever the case would be and give you a summary. But what if I want to ask it other information? Like, what if I want to ask it, does this file include this information? I'm just going to talk to it just like I was talking in Excel. I can talk to Copilot in Microsoft Word. So I'm going to go to the microphone right now. Does this document include information on body language? This information is based on communication and time management. So I want to ask it, did I include this information without me having to go do a search myself? It will automatically come back and let me know after it is analyzed. It basically is running through the entire document looking for that body language information. So It comes back and it says, yes, the document includes details, blah, blah, blah. Notice that it's got the end notes. It's got the 1, 2, 3. It's actually at the bottom, it's showing me 3 references. If I click where it says 3 references, it shows me where body language was actually added. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this nonverbal communication result that it gave me. It's going to automatically jump me to that area. But how I use Copilot in Microsoft Word a lot is this is actually a document that I wrote quite a few years ago. And I want to rewrite this paragraph. I don't know if this paragraph really sounds the way that it should. So I'm going to select text. Automatically, when we select text, it brings up this Copilot icon on the left-hand side. If you click on it, you're going to see 3 different choices. We can write a prompt, we can have an auto write, and we can visualize this information as a table. The visualize as a table is great, especially if your information started out with tab stops. You can select that data and have it automatically turn it into a table. That's pretty cool. But what I use it the most for is rewrite. So I'm going to click auto rewrite. Now, by the way, that menu that we got has been revised over the past month, so it's a little bit new. But what it gives you is the results for whatever the paragraph of data was, and it always gives you 3 options. So you can read through the first one, use the arrow to go to the second one, to go to the third one, and you have a choice of replacing the existing information, or you could actually insert it below the existing paragraph. So I'm going to click below just to give you an example of what it does. So it automatically inserted the results below that paragraph, and maybe I want to kind of compare the two and come up with a combination of both of them, whatever it is that you want to do with it. Also, if I'm selected on that and I go back to that Copilot icon, so once again, you have to have data selected to get the Copilot, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to say auto rewrite. So I'm having it drafted again. And then this time I'm going to come down to the bottom and I'm going to click on this icon to the right where it says tone. This gives you the ability of having it change the tone. So if I want it to be more casual, I want it to be imaginative, concise, whatever tone you want it to be, it can follow that tone. It does neutral by default. So I'm going to choose professional. Once I do that, I can click regenerate. So if you change the tone, you click regenerate on that window, and it's going to regenerate the drafts, giving you 3 choices again. So you can read through those. If you find one that you like, you can click replace on it or insert it below, or you don't have to do anything at all. But once again, take a look at the paragraph, see if there's anything that you personally would change. I don't always keep exactly what Copilot gives me. I go back and I read it myself out loud, and I usually read it out loud because then it makes more sense to me. And it's like, you know what? I would probably say it a little bit more this way. I can go back and make that adjustment. But what if I want to use this in a brand new document? If I create a new document in Microsoft Word, notice Copilot is available right away. It says select the icon. If I select the icon, I can actually tell it what exactly it is that I want it to do. So you can see that it says describe what you'd like me to write. I want it to create a letter to a new customer to thank them for working with us. Oops, working with us. I'm going to click generate. I could also have it refer to a file, and it can write something related to a file that I open, just so you know you can do that. So this is where I have really been taking advantage of this because I have a lot of documents that I've been using for the past 20 years. I have, thank you for working with our organization, you know, um, here's your past due invoice, whatever your letter is. I'm having Copilot help me rewrite those. I like to start from scratch like I just did. Otherwise, I just do the rewrite. Great options. Either way, it is a great tool to be using. The efficiency side and the time saving side of things, I think it's 100% worth the pennies that we pay. So that was a little bit on using it in Microsoft Word. I want to transition back over to PowerPoint because PowerPoint is something that I use on a very regular basis when it comes to using Copilot. So let me open up a presentation. Here we go. So here's a presentation, and as you can see, it has 160 slides. 160 slides in this presentation. It's an all-day course that I do on project management. But I'm going to go to the Copilot icon. Notice the colors because it's matching my PowerPoint. I'm going to click Copilot, and it automatically is going to open on the right-hand side like it always does. Okay. So once I come into Copilot, what kind of things can I, oops, sorry. I clicked the wrong window. Once I come into Copilot, what can I have it do? It's giving you suggestions. So I could see create a presentation from a file. I can summarize this presentation or organize this presentation. I could go into each of these prompts to gather information about the presentation. But what if I wanted to add in a new slide? I'm going to actually go to an existing slide and I'm going to tell it create a new slide with the topic of creating a scope statement. So it's automatically pulling things together based on the topic of scope statements. It will automatically insert a new slide, but here it automatically gave me a new slide and it automatically included an image. But I'm going to actually delete that image that it gave me, and I'm going to say add an image of a scope statement, just so you can see it could do that. Okay, here we go, an image of a scope statement. It automatically has added in an image of a scope statement. Now I could go back and say, change the image to this, to that, whatever, but I won't go through all of that here with you today. But these are things that you really want to practice with. Practice with how you're prompting, no matter where it is you're using Copilot from, practice prompts, 100%. So let me go ahead and select this object on this slide. And I'm going to, well, actually, maybe I'll do two different things here. I'm going to use my microphone, create a slide transition using fly-in. It's showing me that it does have animation. So when I come in and preview it, I can see the animations have automatically been added. Just so you're finding that Copilot itself is going to be an efficiency, it's going to be a time saver, and it helps you to be more creative. It brings up images for me that I never would have thought of or that I have to go out and search for on the internet. Let Copilot do that searching for you. It's actually using images that are built into Microsoft and ones that it's automatically grabbing that are not copyrighted off the internet. So the abilities that it has with images has been absolutely fantastic. We can describe exactly what type of an image it is that we want, tell it what colors to use, have it look like it's, windy outside, whatever the case would be. It's all about the prompting. But in your handout, you're going to find lots of information in regards to using Copilot in Excel, in Microsoft Word, where we can have it transform, we can have it totally write information for us. I do a lot of the auto rewrite. That's the very common choice, but I like having the tone as well. PowerPoint can do exactly that same thing, and it can use different tones in Excel as well, because if you ask Excel to add a text box with this information in the text box, you can have it rewrite it based on the tone you want it to use as well. But I use it in Excel and PowerPoint and Word on a daily basis. These are things that I'm always using it for.